contemplate the workings of the inner being. Your eyes are wide open, but are you really seeing? Hi, Ta.
Hi, Cole.
Do my eyebrows look crooked?
Not right now.
Lies. That's because my head was tilted.
Well, it looks a little tilted right now. Look.
Ta, it's going to fix itself out, right? We're going to sort this whole thing out.
We shall.
So, for anyone that is listening, because you obviously can't see right now, I got my eyebrows tattooed yesterday, which is awesome, but one side looks lower, and it's bugging me, like freaking me out a little bit. I'm going to give it time. She said, give it time. And we do an assessment, and we shift it and whatever. But I mean, like, for reals, though, what if my eyebrows stay crooked and I just keep this inquisitive look on my face?
Huh?
For real.
My name is Ta.
My name is Cole.
This is Ta Cole.
And you are listening to Mentor in the Mirror podcast, the inquisitive, conscious
Yes.
question.
Right.
So, in the spirit of inquisition.
Yeah, and inquiring about the particulars in life, we want to talk about things in particular. And in particular, we want to talk about relationships, interpersonal relationships, familial relationships, and just relationships in general.
And being particular, you know, especially in new relationships, something that we see quite often, people get excited about it, you know, and they don't actually get very inquisitive about how another person functions, right? Like, you and I spent a lot of time when we were first dating just talking about, so, you know, are you a bed maker, not a bed maker? Do you like this or are you like this?
Do you like to wash dishes? Do dishes
what
in the sink
what drive you
crazy?
insane? Yeah,
you know?
what are the things that just totally bug you around the house?
Right, or the things that totally make you feel comfortable. You know, are there things that go unspoken that you anticipate should be done, quote unquote, should be
or
done.
things that have bothered you in the past? Like, we talked about past relationships and what we would do different, and we didn't do it from a standpoint of fixing anything. It was seriously just curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was curious what made you tick, and if something bugged you or bothered you or annoyed you or whatever, or just wasn't functional for you, asking you, do you know where that comes from? Where did that start? Because the more, especially in retrospect, in knowing these little things about you and what makes certain things particular, it changed my priority with things too. Like, if it was something I didn't really care about, but I knew that it was an annoyance to you, then I might just take care of it. You know what I mean? Or I'm not going to leave something sitting around that annoys you or whatever. You and I don't really have annoyances like that. But nonetheless, we spent a lot of time really getting to know each other, like, consistently.
Yeah, and it wasn't just surface level shit. And it wasn't, and like a lot of these little things are not surface level things. They're very deep things. And, you know, somebody in a past relationship could have left shit on the counter, like things like hair in the sink for a lot of people is a big deal. For one person, the other person, it's not a big deal. And that can set people into a place where it's like, man, I wish this dude would just clean up his hair, and the guy's not thinking about it. And you know, it can send people into a tailspin based on some old stuff. And these are particulars like that really mean stuff to people.
Well, that's really the truth of it. It has nothing to do with the hair in the sink. It's triggering an old experience of not being considered, or someone not caring about leaving their stuff around or whatever for the person it's impacting, you know? And that's why, even looking back at things with my little sister, I was a super messy kid. Super messy. And now if things get too unorganized, I can't handle it. And I don't think that actually changed until I lived by myself and I saw how much work it takes to keep things clean and organized. And I'm certainly not neurotic, you know what I mean? Like, our house is not some spick and span thing, but it does reach a point that I can't even think straight. And our routine in the morning is get up, make the bed, do any dishes that are in the sink, clean the kitchen, and reset the house before we start to work.
Right. I mean, you know, I'm not a big fan of dishes in the sink at all. So I'm always washing dishes, and it's not an option for me to really have dishes in the sink. That shit drives me nuts. And it's from my childhood. I know where it's from. And to be able to express, you know, hey, listen, you know, would you mind if you use something, you know, could you wash it immediately, or as soon as possible, because it kind of puts me in a place where I can't focus. This stuff is important, and it may seem silly to some people, but it's not. It's really, really important stuff. And these are the things that people kind of breeze over when they get into relationships, and they breeze over with their family members, with their kids, with their parents, with their brothers and sisters.
Well, or they're just saying it's not a big deal.
It's they breeze over it, meaning, it's not a big deal. It's overlooked as something that's insignificant.
Or you're being silly, or you're being ridiculous, or whatever. Or it's just when there's something that you value that someone else doesn't, right? A personal item or a placement of an item or whatever. In a world
where people wash dishes and had consideration.
In a world where there's just a lot of chaos for me, I need a certain amount of order in the environment that I can see. And the first thing, if I'm feeling overwhelmed, the first thing that has to happen is cleaning and order, because it actually helps to create a visceral experience for the experience I'm having in my mind, in my head, or on my eyebrows.
Yeah, well, your body will tell you if you don't resonate with something, and if you don't speak up about it, it won't be resolved. And that's just another thing. That's just another layer to peel back. And, so many people we've interacted with have these built up resentments for their partners, and they don't know where it comes from.
Or they're trying to figure it out before they say anything, which means the feeling is still there.
Well, the place where I was going with that is they have all these built up resentments, like the hair in the sink, and then the dishes weren't done, and the dog wasn't taken out, and the garbage wasn't this, and all of these things start to pile up. And then a person snaps. When it gets to be overwhelming, a person has a pressure release, and then they snap, or they completely shut down, or they become passive aggressive. And these things are all they become these resentments that play in the background, and they don't understand why. I don't know why I'm so resentful. And then when you start peeling the layers back and see that all these little things are messing with you, these are the particulars that are messing with people. And when you can get to the place where, as soon as something happens, if you feel it in your jaw, right? If your jaw tightens up, if you start clenching your jaw, you feel your nostrils flare, or if one eyebrow comes up, address it. These are the particulars that need to be addressed in relationships and in consideration with family members or people that you work with. If somebody says something and your jaw tightens up and you don't speak about it, it's a layer that gets pushed down, and things get stacked on top of it, and it becomes problematic. We've got to discuss these particulars.
That's the thing, is people put it off, or it's, well, I don't want to talk about it on text message. I want to do it in person, or I'm going to wait until the weekend, or whatever. It's not functional. If the best that you have in a given moment is text message, use it. I mean, look, if you have a relationship with someone and you're making a habit out of not telling it to someone in person, that's for you to reflect on. Mm-hmm. But, it's not even that we discuss things like via text, but we'll say, hey, there's something I really want to talk to you about when I get home. So that at least it kind of starts creating that container.
Yeah, that can also be a scary thing too, though, but what did I do wrong?
We don't even say it like that, but it's like, can you help me with something when I get home?
Yeah, and just being able to let the other person know that they're not in trouble, or it's not, it's not going to be a beefing situation. It's just something that you really want to talk about face to face with that person is important.
Yeah, like you said, when you can tell someone like, look, this doesn't have to do with you. There's something that I need your help with in navigating. That's kind of our code. You know what I mean? How we invite the conversation is, I've got something that I could use your help with if you're open to it. And even if it involves the other person, the truth is the emotional response is within the individual. So it's really taking that moment to let somebody know, this is a me thing. This has to do with my reaction to something that's going on, and I could use your help in sorting it out.
Right. I mean, when we first started living together, you came to stay at my house, the house that I was living in. And I came home one day and my whole linen closet was pulled out and folded.
Son,
and all
that shit looked like the Labyrinth. You saw Labyrinth, right?
Yeah, I saw Labyrinth.
The lady that had the big shell on her back and there was just like shit like hanging off of her. Every time I'd open that linen closet, son, it was just like...
I knew where everything was, though. So, I knew where everything was, though. Just because you ain't know where shit was. And I had that shit like that for a long ass time.
Yeah, I saw.
Shut your fuck hole. Shut your hole, you fucking fuck. So, I came home one day and this linen closet was completely everything was folded differently and organized.
You mean folded it all?
All right, ladies and
Go
gentlemen,
on,
thanks.
I
It
love
was
you.
a great episode. No. So all this shit was folded, and I had a mixture of feelings come up. It was pretty overwhelming. Number one, because I never had anybody in my shit, like mixing my stuff up.
Oh
And
yeah, that didn't go over well.
touching my personal things was a new thing for me, and I had been in a relationship where I lived with somebody while I was married, and she had her own shit, I had my own shit, so it was like we didn't
Inter shit.
yeah, we didn't
Intermingle
stuff. But to have my personal shit touched, when I was a kid, my brother would break my shit and he would throw my shit away, or my stuff would get wrecked, right? He didn't have a lot of reverence for my stuff. So whenever and like people would eat the shit that I had in the refrigerator and stuff like that, so I didn't feel like I had anything. So this shit went back to my childhood, and when somebody comes in and starts folding my shit and touching my stuff, what else is she going through my drawers now, and is she searching through stuff? And I had a lot of stuff to iron through in my life, and to let go of these old concepts that things would be taken away from me or manipulated, or I wouldn't have my privacy. There was a lot to it, as you can see from all the things that are coming up for me with just this closet. So it wasn't about the folding of the clothes and the moving shit around. It was about all the things that I had experienced in the past. And these are one of the particular things that was messing with me. And so my first inclination was to just not say anything. And to just be like, oh, thanks, because the shit looked great. I mean, it looked really nice. I had mixed feelings about it because it looked great and it looked nice. And I hadn't considered folding things this way and putting it this way, or folding things at all. And
I mean, they were
No,
folded. It's just they weren't really stacked. They were just kind of like pressed, maybe
there
with
was way
a
too much
fist.
shit in the closet in the
I
first
kept the
place.
same amount of stuff in there.
Shut your hole, you fucking fuck. I love you so much. Anyway, there was so much stuff in the closet, and it looked great. And I sat outside, like you weren't there when I sat on the steps. The closet's like right by the staircase, and I just sat on the steps for a while, and I had these mixed fingers.
Oh, I watched. I did see the inklings of a complete existential.
Oh man, I was in a crisis, and this is for a linen closet. This wasn't even my personal closet.
Yeah, this was like legit, like the towels and the sheets and the soap and shit.
And all my my self-care items and stuff was in this closet, and like I'm in here sitting on the steps losing my shit, and at the same time being happy, and then losing my shit and being like, what do I say? Do I say anything to her? And all these dialogues. And I sat there for a good 45 minutes, and like there were points where tears were streaming down my face, and I was like, damn it, I finally let somebody come live with me and look at this shit. Look what I have to deal with. And I'm hearing, Priscilla's my inner voice. That's what I named my critic voice, is telling me all this shit about run, stop the relationship now. She started digging through your shit. What's next? She's going to be in your phone. And I went through all these things, this panic and this discord and this just discourse and this soliloquies and all of this shit going on in my mind.
Yeah, that was intense.
It was really, really intense. And this was a linen closet.
I was just sitting there like mouth agape. Like, oh damn, okay.
And when we sat down to talk about it, I appreciate the fact that you didn't really budge. I know it might have been uncomfortable for you, but for me to be allowed to express why I was feeling that way, and fully in my full voice, and with whatever movements that I had to make in my body, with knowing it had nothing to do with you. It was all me. That if you're going to, and for me to be able to set my boundaries of, if you're going to be touching my stuff, I would like to be notified first, because it makes me feel safe. And all of this, the root of all of this is me not feeling safe. And when people don't feel safe, they can't connect.
Well, and it would put you on the defense of like having to protect yourself.
Right. And to be living with somebody who you don't feel safe with, you cannot connect with them. This is one of the key things we always talk about, is to be able to be with somebody and have an intimate connection with them. You have to tolerate them, accept them, feel safe with them, be able to be vulnerable with them, and then connect. If you don't get to the safety part, there is no vulnerability. If I don't feel safe, I can't express myself to you. So for me to be able to be in a space where I feel safe with my stuff, safe, with my emotions and my feelings and my processes is really important. And so to be able to get the particulars out, hey, look, I don't feel safe when, and to even not know that you don't feel safe, but just say I have feelings about this, so the other person can help you navigate that, so that you can actually feel safe with somebody touching your stuff, going through your shit. Like now, this is the first relationship in my life where if you have the code to my phone and I don't give a shit. And it feels awesome for you. Like,
that's because I just returned the titty pics to all your girlfriend. No, I'm just kidding.
What?
No, I'm just kidding.
So what?
There was, we went through it was quite a dance when we first moved in together. You hadn't had anyone, officially. You had past girlfriends that spent a lot of time there, but they didn't move in, And so there was definitely some tiptoeing and some, really learning to dance into this experience of the relationship of living together.
Dance into the fire.
And we had talks, at a certain point you came over to me and you said, look, I want you to be comfortable here. So let's talk about what that looks like, because you hadn't hung a single thing on the wall. You had things around. If you really made this home, there was a few layers. One layer was if you made it home, you would lose it or it would break or something would happen to it, because that had been your experience when something that you loved was there, it would get ruined, broken, or dissolve or burn down or whatever. And then there was also the layer of this is your childhood home, so it's not technically yours, even though you're the only one living there. So there was those layers. And so it was... it took some pretty consistent conversation for us to kind of dance that dance together so that I felt comfortable too, so that I could make it home for me. Because we did have conversations at one point where I was just like, I don't see any of me here. I don't see any elements that make me feel like I'm home. I feel like I'm living in someone else's house.
Right. And I was always living in someone else's house. And still to that point, I was living in someone else's house. I didn't put any pictures on the wall because I didn't feel like it was my place. I didn't feel like it was my space. And since I was a kid, I never really felt like I had a space, except for my bedroom. The one place that I had shit on the walls was in my bedroom. That was it. I had shit everywhere. I'll try to find you a picture of that, of my old bedroom. I had shit everywhere. And that was one place that I felt safe. And there was a point where all of that just got wiped away. Like all of that. I just, when I have to be subject to somebody else's rules and somebody else's situations, I don't feel safe. And so, to be able to have that conversation about the particulars is really important, super important.
And for both people to express, because for me, I didn't feel safe and settled, at the same time. And so if you're in this situation, you're just living with someone or you've been living with someone for a long time, have you sat down and talked through the particulars? Have you sat down and with curiosity asked someone, what makes you feel safe? Maybe you need a specific area in your house for you as individuals. Maybe you have a little altar space you go meditate in. Maybe you have someone wants an office space, whatever. Those things are worth prioritizing.
They are. And this is not just about your living space. It's about your body space too.
It totally.
There's something that happens when somebody rubs my ear a particular way. It puts my body into a very, very funky place because of an interaction that I had with a woman, and she rubbed my ear until it was raw. So now when people touch my ear, I'm really funky about it, and I won't, before I wouldn't say anything, and now, to be able to say, hey, I don't like to be touched on my ear, it makes me feel unsafe, or it reminds me of something else. And if you're looking for me to get off or to be, excited, that's not
probably
it.
Not happening.
And even if that is something that excites them, if it doesn't excite you, it's going to put you into a space of dysfunction and lack of safety, and it's going to interrupt your connection. Those particulars are important.
Yeah. So, for today, I really encourage you that if you're in a relationship or a friendship, or you're living with someone, to sit down and talk out the particulars, or sit down with a piece of paper each. What would the house look like if it was up to you? And then comparing notes and see where the alignments are, and then be able to prioritize those things so that each individual person is getting what they need, and so that you're clear on what they need, right? So that this is how you create a harmonious space that is safe. Because if you don't feel safe at home, if you don't feel safe with the people closest to you, it's going to impact your money. It's going to impact your health. It's going to impact your body and how your body moves. This is priority number one. And this is one of the things, especially on our weekend intensives, that we sit and identify what's functional, what's not functional. Create and eradicate. Sit down and make your create and eradicate list. What do you want your space to look like, feel like, sound like, whatever? What does the other person want? What are their needs? Compare notes and then do a check-in, man, every 90 days. What's working in the house? What's functional in the house? What isn't? Find that congruency. This will directly impact everything you do from there on.
Right. And also, you can apply this same thing to your business space, where you work, where you create, where your artist space is, whatever. Do you feel aligned with it? And are the people in the space in cahoots with you? Do they know why things are really, really important to you? These particulars are so very vital to you being in an expansive, connected space with everything that you do in your life. So, the one person who knows what the particulars are
for the individual
is right in the mirror. So we invite you to stand in front of the mirror and ask yourself, what are my particulars? What am I revealing? What am I telling people? And do I need help actually expressing that, so that I can feel safe, so that I can expand, so that my body is not all tense all the time around the people that I choose to be proximal to, or the people that I am proximal to, my family members. Am I able to really speak these things? The one person that can tell you all of the particulars is right in the mirror.
So if you haven't already, share this with a friend. This is how we get the dialogue going. This is how we get conversation, transparency, authenticity, vulnerability, is by getting on the same page of conversation and asking someone, hey, you want to sit and do this exercise with me? Let's get aligned. Let's, create. Let's have fun doing it. So share it with a friend. Don't forget to rate, review, subscribe to the show. When you guys leave reviews, it really lights us up. When you send us messages on Instagram, we love it. So thank you so much for spending your time with us. We know how valuable your time is to you, and we don't take 1 second of that for granted. So thank you so much for your time. I'm Cole.
I'm Ta.
This is Mentor in the Mirror. Be free.